Welcome, my friends, to another YouTube version of the BJJ Brick Podcast. I hope you enjoy the show, and if you do, please subscribe to the channel. So here we go.
Thank you for listening to the BJJ Brick Podcast. We'll be bringing you Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and good times. We hope to flatten your Jiu-Jitsu learning curve, help you get the most out of your grappling ability, and meet your goals both on and off the mat.
Welcome back, my friends, to the BJJ Brick Podcast. This is episode 212. My name is Byron. I'm here with Gary. Gary's kind of the Ned Flanders to my Homer Simpson.
I don't really know who Ned Flanders is.
Oh, okay, this is awkward already.
Yep. Sorry, Byron.
Oh,
but I do know who Homer Simpson is.
Okay,
so.
Well.
But hey, speaking of Ned Flanders and Homer Simpson, disregard those two because we have an awesome episode. We have Jeff Monson on the show today, and I know you probably have all seen Jeff in the UFC and seen him in the high-level grappling circuit. So it's awesome to have a guest like Jeff on today.
Yeah, it was a really fun conversation I had with Jeff, and got to ask him, basically, he's like, I'm open book. Anything you want to ask me about, go ahead and go for it. So got to really explore a lot of different topics, and he was happy to answer everything. About midway through, you'll notice my voice changes from the normal kind of nasally, annoying voice now to a more of a little bit like a morning voice.
So did you hit puberty?
No, what happened was...
Oh, okay.
I'll hit it one of these days, Gary. What happened, actually Skype was down, and we recorded a good 30 or so minutes in, and then Skype quit, and we couldn't figure out what was happening, and I just called him, it looks like Skype is actually down, and I checked online and verified that people were talking about Skype being down, and so we ended up calling again a couple of days later in the morning, and so we just pick up the conversation right where we left off, and the actual conversation just keeps rolling, but you'll notice... I don't know, a little bit different, but you may not even notice that at all. So I'm just saying that doesn't really matter. But
yeah, so you may not notice it, but if you do think Byron hit puberty during the middle of it, now you know why.
Well, and Jeff, he volunteers some of his time. He goes and visits sick kids in the hospital, kids with cancer.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really amazing. He has 6 hospitals in Russia that he visits kids and tries to brighten up their day a little bit. And basically right around that time is where we had to pick up the conversation for the second time. So yeah, he was happy to work with me and let's do this pick a different time, and happened to be a couple days later in the morning. So anyway, that's some programming notes.
Yeah. Well, I know you're getting ready to go on to your life lesson, Byron, but that would be a good life lesson too. What do you call it? Technology's down, but you don't let it bother you. You just go back and take care of it some other time.
Yeah.
Don't let something like that get to you.
That's good one, Gary.
Yeah, but I don't want to spoil your life lesson, Byron.
Well, we try to take off the mat ideas and bring them to the mat and see what we could learn from them. And I was just kind of thinking, and it's not 100% off the mat idea, but my work schedule, I work a day and then I'm off 2 days straight, and then I work a 24-hour day. So it's 24 on and 48 off. So no matter what, I really can't do jiu-jitsu 3 days in a row. And that seems, that's kind of annoying. But in reality, there are some benefits to that.
Wait, Byron, don't you have mats at the fire station?
Well, yes.
Okay. But I mean, yeah, who knows if you can even find a training partner or if you even have time.
Key.
Yeah, if you have time. But what you need to do is kind of do what I did before, where I used to just try to hire people who wrestled or do jiu-jitsu. It totally backfired. They were good training partners, but they were terrible at work. But
oh, man.
Sorry for interrupting your life
That's
lesson.
Another different story. But in reality, we all have different schedules that we're trying to get our mat life to kind of go with. And I think it's been like a hidden blessing that I can't train 3 days in a row, 4 days in a row. I could train 2 days in a row, and then I'd take a day off. And and that seems like a negative if I wanted to train a whole bunch more and get as good as I could. But in reality, I take the day off, heal up a little bit, use it as like a study day, do a little bit of research, kind of learn a little bit more in depth of something, some off the mat learning, and then when I get back on the mat the first day, I'm always the most motivated that first day back, and I'm willing to train harder and pay attention really well that first day. It's kind of a little cycle that I have, and I think in reality it's helped me. So you may be the same way. Maybe you could train anytime you want, and you train all the time, and that's cool. But maybe because of something else is going on, you can't train just all the time. And actually, Jeff talks about this a little bit in his interview. He was trying to compete at a very high level in wrestling, but also juggle his life off the mat and keep everything going there. And that's definitely a struggle, and something that ultimately, if you want to be like elite, top of the food chain competitor, you know that needs to take precedent, and that's going to take a lot of your time. But for me, as somebody who does this for fun, and I do want to become as good as I can, but I do realize I have to have a job and do things and have responsibilities off the mat. It's just I don't need to think of it as a negative. Find ways to make it work for me.
Yeah, definitely. Gives your body a little chance to rest. You make some income, which you need to keep your life going, which is important. But, I find that, if I do train too many days in a row, I don't necessarily look forward to it. I'm a little banged up, but everybody's different. Everybody has a different schedule. And, no matter what we do in life, we're going to have a different schedule. Sometimes we have family stuff coming in. Sometimes we have, work stuff, religious stuff that we have to do. And we can't train every day. Or, even if we had a day planned to train, just kind of like today, me and Byron are getting ready to schedule this appointment. And, I had to roll from 1 to 2. We planned on doing it after 2, but Byron had something come up. So we're either like, we can do this late at night, or we can, jump in here real quick and get it done. So, we decided to jump in real quick and get it done. But, your day's never going to be predictable. We all want it predictable. That's the easy way. But, there's always going to be roadblocks and other stuff that come up. And, we need to make the best of it. And, it's kind of going back to, what Byron was talking about with that interview with Jeff Monson. Halfway through the interview, Skype went down. Byron could have curled up in the fetal position and started crying.
I did.
Cussing and screaming and pounding his hand on the mat. And, because Byron does the interviews on the wrestling mat, so try to make it more realistic. But he could have done that, or, he could have got with Jeff and, hey, is there, I'm sorry for taking up your time today, Jeff, and, sorry about the technological problem, but hey, can we schedule another day? And Jeff's the same kind of guy, like, Byron was talking about with, Jeff trying to juggle everything. So, let's just make the best of it and make it work.
Absolutely, Gary.
Absolutely. Hey, speaking of absolutely, this has nothing to do with absolutely, but definitely check out Byron's audiobook, Your First Year in BJJ. It'll absolutely make your game better.
There you go. You got it, Gary. You got the link.
Yep, I got it. So, hey, your first year is a tough year. We do see a ton of dropouts in that first year. Our goal here at BJJ Brick is to introduce jiu-jitsu to the masses and get more and more people training. We want basically everybody to know about jiu-jitsu, to maybe have trained jiu-jitsu and be aware of it. So your first year in BJJ, it's 2.5 hours of content, only $11.99. It basically helps you through that first year. It's going to tell you what moves to work on, the benefits of jiu-jitsu, which we've talked about numerous times. And, it's even going to help you get ready if you do decide to do a tournament. So definitely check it out. We have a link to it on the show notes, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed. You'll be absolutely happy with it.
And we are absolutely grateful for anybody who purchases one of our audiobooks. It really means a lot to us, helps us out. And there's actually a button on there that you could kind of kick us a little extra money. And that's been happening more and more, Gary. It's really nice. People kind of giving us a little pat on the back or a little tip when they buy the audiobook, and really grateful for that. It's always a nice surprise when somebody does that. It's always a nice surprise when somebody buys the book anyway. But when they say, yeah, I'm here, I'm going to buy it. I really enjoy the show. Here's a little bit extra. Help you guys out and keep on doing what you're doing. So thank you guys for getting the book. And if you decide to tip us, we really appreciate that too. That's really cool.
Yep. Yeah, it's always, like Byron said, a great surprise. It's a great surprise when we find out we have a new listener. So definitely tell your friends about it. And, we really appreciate all the support we get from all you loyal listeners. Speaking of loyal listeners, I don't know if this guy has ever listened to us, but Dan Gable, one of the greatest ever in the wrestling community. We have a quote from him this week. And basically what Dan said is, we, as a wrestling community, better remember that it is more than one individual that makes a winner. And, that's so true, basically, in not just wrestling, not just jiu-jitsu, life also. Not one person, individually, can make himself, his family, his jiu-jitsu team, his wrestling team, a winner. For us to be the best we can be, and succeed, we need a whole village, a whole family behind us. And, we got to remember, there is no, the old adage, there is no I in team. It's all, we all got to help each other out and make each other better. And we'll all rejoice when we hit those goals.
Yeah. Real quick, I'll go off topic here. There is no I in team, but if you write the letter A as a capital A, like the little circle part in the A and then the little horizontal part or vertical part in the I and the A, kind of make an I. So there is the I in team. It's right in the A hole, and you can find it there.
It's in the A hole. It's the key.
No, this is a very good quote. You've heard people say, like, I'm a self-made person, and it's so important to them. And I do respect people, like, working hard and really trying to develop their craft or get good at something and make the best for their life. But everybody has help from other people. I mean, you can be a self-made person. Yeah, who taught you how to read? Who was some of your most influential teachers when you were a kid? Or who was your first coach on the mat? Like, yes, you work hard. And yes, that's a big part of the reason why you're having success today. But you did it with the help of support of others, and that's a big deal. And Jeff will get into this in his conversation too. He talks about having setbacks on the mat, and he was, kind of one of the first members of ATT, American Top Team. And it's a very successful MMA team. And he was trying to get out there and compete, do his thing, and he had some people supporting him. And he went through some series of losses and tough times. And those people stayed there, and they helped and support him, and were positive and encouraging and believed in him. And he's like, that made a big difference. And you could tell when he tells a story that having supportive people, even when times are tough, it means a lot. And it's really cool of Jeff to share some of those stories today.
Yep, I'm thinking of that quote also. The attack on the wrestling community here, not too many years ago when, wrestling got taken out of the Olympics for a short time. And, I always thought it was cool. I saw so many, wrestling dignitaries, regular Joes and everybody just all get together, start petitions, start sharing stuff on Facebook and everywhere. And, letting everybody know what's happening and to put pressure on the Olympic committee to get, wrestling back into the Olympics. So, there's no way, Dan Gable could have done that by himself. He needed, everybody else, Kenny Monday, all the other guys, coming together to get it there.
Good point, Gary. Good
Thank
stuff,
you, Byron.
man. Good. You're always bringing up stuff I don't even think about.
Yeah, well, most people do say I'm a little bit smarter than you, but I don't necessarily agree with that because I would have never got to where I am without the help from you. So thank you.
Oh, using the quote in action.
Absolutely, Byron. Byron, I think it's time to get on to the interview with the one, the only, Jeff Monson.
He is the most interesting grappler in the world.
While on a mission to bring Geese back to his team, he was bitten by a zombie. He then awarded this zombie his blue belt. They are making a new TV series about this blue belt zombie. There is no organic way to pass his spider guard. The only way is to use poison. DeWalt has a new power drill coming up next year. They are studying him to make it more efficient. They are planning to have a competitive advantage on their competition, just like he does.
I don't always listen to podcasts, but when I do, I prefer the BJJ Brick podcast. Stay sweaty, my friends.
All right, my friends, I'm excited to bring Jeff Monson to the BJJ Brick podcast. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, really excited. This is going to be a fun day to have you on the show. You've been in the grappling scene forever and MMA scene for a long time, and it's been as long as I've been watching competitive grappling. I've had my eye on you, and it's just been fun to watch you compete and stuff like that. And now it's an honor to have you on the show.
Oh, I appreciate that. It's really fun to be here. Thank you.
Could you introduce yourself a little bit to the audience if they haven't heard of you yet?
Yeah, I'm Jeff Monson, originally from Seattle, Washington. I'm now living in Wellington, Florida. Been a member of American Top Team since 2001, since we started, and fought a lot. Had like over 80 professional fights, and competed in all the grappling tournaments around the world. FILA, ADCC, Nogi Worlds, about everything you can think of, I've been at. So it's been a fun career, and a lot of travel, and a lot of meeting new people, and I just feel blessed that I was able to do something I loved for the last 15 years. So
yeah, could you take me back? What got you started in martial arts or wrestling or the combat sports?
Well, I wrestled in high school, then wrestled in college, and when I was in college, I was like a real late bloomer. I didn't even go to state in high school. I didn't go to state until I was a senior, and I didn't win any matches. And then I walked on in college at Oregon State University, and then transferred over to University of Illinois with the coach for my senior year. And I went to Nationals twice and won the Pac-10. And I went to I was one match away from being an All-American, and I was just like, I was devastated. I put the last whatever years, we were working real hard, and I didn't have a natural wrestling ability or anything like that. So it was like a lot of hard work to get to that point. And I just couldn't accept it was over, And then at that time, I was married, I had 2 kids, and then I ended up going to grad school for psychology, and then on getting my master's and stuff. And then, I was going to the U.S. Open every year and helping out with a Division II wrestling team at University of Minnesota Duluth. And, I came close to being on the USA national team 3 different times. I literally lost the match to be on the team. And, 3 different years, and I'm just like one away. And this is without going to Colorado Springs, without having I had a full-time job, full-time grad school, full-time family, and then trying to wrestle on the side. And so I was doing pretty good for all those circumstances, but I just couldn't, I couldn't get over the hump without, proper training. And then I moved back to Seattle and lived there with the family and stuff. And, I was going to the U.S. Open and still, win, almost become on the national team and then not make it. And I was like, I just couldn't give it up. And then MMA happened, and then we had just in my area, we had Matt Lindland, Dennis Hallman, Maurice Smith, Randy Couture, all those guys just right there. Dan Henderson. I was training with Chael Sonnen. I was training with these guys a couple times a week. And, my wrestling was good for this. And, I went to ADCC and just came out of nowhere and won it. And then my life just changed. Then I stopped working for mental health, moved to Florida, joined American Top Team, and then just, became a professional fighter, I guess, for the next whatever year. So, just by circuit, I just couldn't give up on, I just had that competitive spirit. I just couldn't give it up. And, I don't think I ever would have been. I really enjoyed my jobs that I was doing with mental health. I like working in that field and helping people out. And it was really fulfilling. But inside there was something kind of missing. And that was, the competition. I just needed it. And so, I found it in an American Top Team and fighting, and I've been doing it ever since.
And that ADCC, that kind of was a turning point there. Was that the 1999?
That was 99. I remember walking out. I just won the tournament. I just beat Saulo Ribeiro. It remember, this is a guy that went to state, didn't place. Then I went to nationals twice, didn't place. Went to the U.S. Open like 6 times, never placed, and 3 times like coming 1 match away, and like I couldn't even. And then I found like grappling, which is a combination of wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and I just found my niche. But I haven't been doing it that long, and then I just be Higa Machado, Saulo Roberto, like the best guys in the world, like where where people were saying this guy doesn't have a business being in this tournament. And I didn't really. I got my coach, Matt Hume, was a friend of the Sheik, and it's the only reason I even got in the tournament. And then I walked out. I remember I was like saying, I just like said a prayer. I'm like, I can't believe I'm the world champion. And I couldn't even, I don't know. It was an incredible feeling. I was out in the desert walking around just when I can't believe it.
Wow. So at that point you were working a full-time job, had a family, and trying to train the best you could. I think a lot of people can relate to that as far as, not going to ADCC and not trying to place a national on big teams and try to get that level. But we all want to do the best that we can. And so many of us are busy trying to, hold our lives in one piece and have things go smoothly, and then also have success on the mats. What was it like to try to balance everything?
I mean, it's difficult at times. There was, I'm not the most organized person in the world. And, my wife's in here laughing. And, but, it was, it is what you get used to. It's like, I remember like in Minnesota, I was the assistant wrestling coach for the team. I got like a little stipend. I was full-time graduate student in psychology. I was working 40 hours a week at a children's mental health center. I had 2 children, a wife, and I was training, wrestling, and I was doing like a little internship for some extra money for like a grad student. And I tipped the border too much, and I couldn't, I messed up doing some stuff with the graduate assistant stuff and, or the internship. And so I had to stop that, but it's just what you get used to. Like every minute of the day is like just packed with, kids and work and this and training, and you just gotta, I don't know, there's a lot of people that work a lot of hard jobs and then go to the gym, or a lot of hard jobs and long hours, and then go home and like spend time with their family and pay bills and like make it happen somehow. And it's just like in that boat. There's like a lot of it's just one of those things where you're blessed because you win ADCC or you're successful, and somebody goes, wow, they have a job and they do this and they're being successful. But like a lot of people like do that every day, and maybe they're not in any kind of competition, but you know what, they're busting their ass at their job and trying to make ends meet, and then they're taking their daughter and son to football practice or violin lessons and this, and paying the bills and working that extra hours to pay off something for their, medical bills, or, like they're just doing the blue collar stuff to make their life work for their family and stuff like that. And they don't get the accolades, but really there's something to think about, something to look up to. So, I think about that a lot. There's a lot of people out there that work hard and do a lot of like hard stuff and put in many, many, many hours for themselves and their family, and they just don't get the credit that they deserve. So, I think of that way. I don't think I really did anything special that many people don't do too.
Yeah, it's just challenging. I think when you look at a lot of the competition and they're doing this full time, and you still see it today. Some up and coming athletes are competing in ADCC or competing at Worlds, and they're going to school full time, or they have a full time job and a young family. And it's amazing to see people do everything like that and compete with the people who are training full time.
Yeah, it's just it's what you get used, like really it's what you get used to, you know, like, I remember like my first years in school when I was an undergrad, you know, all I had to do was go to like 3 or 4 classes a day and go to wrestling practice. I didn't have to work. I didn't have to do anything. And then when it wasn't wrestling season, all I had to do is do a couple classes a day and then maybe lift weights if I wanted to that day, or maybe watch the game on or go play Nintendo with my friends, you know. So it was like, but I thought it was like so hard, you know, I'm in college, oh my gosh. But when you get later, and then I had a family, and then I like applied myself and got a job, and then wrestling, like all this stuff, and you realize how nice and easy you had it for a while.
Early on in your with your wrestling, were you a big guy back then?
No, I wrestled in high school. I wrestled 135, and then so my senior year I wrestled 160. Man, I took everything really obsessively, and in my sophomore year of high school, I went down to 100 pounds, like vomiting. And
wow.
Diuretics and cutting weight, and I had an eating disorder for a year. I couldn't even compete. I ended up in the hospital like a bunch of times, and like literally on death's bed a few times with like obsessive. Just even, I mean, it's kind of crazy because you're trying to diet to lose weight, to drop the weight class, and then you get so bad that not only are you losing, but then you can't even make varsity, and then you can't even wrestle because you're so weak. And then you still in this, like you would think, okay, I went too far. Okay, wake up. And I got to change my thinking, but you don't. And you keep, it just takes over your whole whatever. But be able to overcome that, and then I wrestled my natural weight like about 135, and then I, from all that like craziness, keeping my weight down and whatever, that I think I went up to maybe 165 or 166 my senior year. So I wrestled 168. And then in high school or college, I wrestled 190 and never cut weight. Maybe it was 195 or something like that was my natural weight at that point. I'm not, man, I can cut a lot of weight if I need to, but I don't like it. I don't usually compete very well when I do.
If you were talking to a high school kid and they're looking for some advice about wrestling, very good wrestler, want to be as competitive and have the best high school wrestling career they could have, what would you give for advice about cutting weight and trying to drop a weight class?
Well, they're making it nice because it was like just a brilliant idea. You go to the doctor before, and the doctor does like a blood, does a hydration test, does a fat body composition, and then they take your weight and they tell you what weight you can go.
Oh, okay.
So that's nice. So that I think they've done that. I don't know if it's nationally, but at least in some states they've done that. So they're like, you can wrestle this weight, and that's as low as you can go. And so that's brilliant. And if you don't have that, or maybe in freestyle or something like that, when you can cut whatever, you got to look at your ability. I mean, I think if you're focusing on your weight, you're focusing on your opponents. You're working, I'm trying to avoid this guy, or I'm trying to be bigger than these people and stronger. And so instead of focusing on where am I going to wrestle best? What is the best that I can do? You don't go into practice and like go, my opponent's going to do this, this, and this, so I have to only work on that. No, you go into practice and go, you know what? I got to work on my single leg today, my double leg, my escapes are weak, but you got to work on what makes you best. And so it's the same philosophy as cutting weight. You got to go do what's going to make you the best. So if you wrestle best at 177, if that's where you're like that, then you need to go 177. If cutting down to 168 is going to make you weaker and tired and then you're not going to be as good a wrestler. Even if you win, you're still not as good of a wrestler as you are at 177. And it's important to go out there and you can't think of one match as your career. It's like a career. It's like a high school career, college career, maybe, a national team, Olympic career, whatever it is. Like you can't, if you're just thinking one match at a time, then, that's way like a fighter cutting weight's a little different because he's cutting weight for one fight. try to get in a certain weight class. But if you're wrestling 30, 40 matches in a season, you're cutting weight for every one and keeping your weight down. It's going to make you more prone to injury, more prone to getting sick, definitely weaker, definitely less effective a wrestler, and it's going to take its toll on you. So, and then when you make weight, you compete at that weight that day. You know what I mean? Like you go into a scale in high school and you weigh in and you're wrestling 2 hours later. It's not like MMA where you weigh in and you got 24 hours to recoup and you don't fight again for another 4 months. So, it's really important to keep that focus. I think some of the rule changes have been really a positive thing for wrestling.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a bit safer than it was back in your day.
Yeah, it's crazy. And nobody knew nothing. Like if my coach, I had a really nice coach and good coach, but like the weight cutting thing was new to him. Like I don't think he ever talked to me one time about cutting weight. It was just like on your own.
Wow.
And so like I had no mentor, nobody telling me what to do or like coming. I was like a 15-year-old kid going, oh man, I have to go my weight class is 122, but I weigh 129. And 7 pounds is nothing really. It's like a, workout and a half, a couple hours. But for a high school kid that's never cut 1 ounce before on purpose, that's like an eternity where they have no skills, no knowledge what to do. It's like, oh my God. So, and that's how it all started.
Jeff, you've had what I'm looking at here says 86 MMA fights, professional. That is an impressive number. Looking back at all those fights and the change over the 20 years of your MMA career, can you maybe highlight a few of your favorite submissions that you would routinely look for once you hit the ground?
I mean, I guess my favorite fight is probably when I fought Brian Lee Hinkle, because man, I went in the UFC the first time, won, and then I came back like a month later and to fight Chuck Liddell, and they wouldn't let me fight because I had some kind of calcium on my brain. And so then we had to wait a month after that to fight again. And I fought in Japan, and man, he just like kicked my leg like 20 some times and just, like really broke my rib. And it was like a brutal wake up call. So, and then I didn't fight again in the UFC for like 3 years. And then I fought Rico Rodriguez and had a really, and my first fight with American Top Team. And I had a really terrible fight and got beat bad. And then I was out again and won a bunch of fights in a row. And then I got a call back from the UFC. So it's like all right, you lost your last 2 times in the UFC. And, but it was years ago. So let's see what you got now. And, I got that north-south submission choke on, which, my favorite submission. And, that was kind of like, okay, I'm back. I'm here. I deserve to be here now, kind of thing. So that was nice.
We talked a bit about your past. I'm curious of what you're doing now.
Well, I'm going to Russia every month. I'm on I have my own show in Russia, and you can get on Facebook and find it. It's an internet show. It's called Monson TV, and it's on. Like I said, you can get on Facebook and find it. And basically, it's a cultural, political, sports topic show. We do different stuff. Do a bunch of spoofs. We do, interviews with politicians, interviews with, like crazy people, with athletes, with celebrities, with politicians, with like everybody. And, I get to walk around Russia and, crazy funny stuff, and we film it too. So it's fun. So I do that, and I'm planning on competing in the World Jiu-Jitsu Championship December 16th in California, Anaheim, California. It's my final event that I do, the Nogi Worlds, and that's kind of it. And then I'm opening some schools in Russia and spend a lot of time there, and teach a little bit of American Top Team in Coconut Creek, Florida, and spend time with the kids. I got a 7-year-old now and two older kids, and try to be home more for the family. So everything's coming full circle, I guess.
So are you going, is the plan to travel back and forth constantly, or do you ultimately want to move to Russia?
Oh man, I want to move to Russia, but unfortunately, the family said no. So so that's not going to happen anytime soon. So yeah, no, I really like it there, and I would, I'd love to move there. And nothing to do with not wanting to be in the United States, because I have a lot of friends and family, and a lot of I love it, being here and traveling and stuff like that. But I really do think I can do a lot of things in Russia that I wouldn't be able to do here. So, but yeah, I'm just, your family comes first. So
are you thinking, would you be opening up like a Russian top team school?
Well, there's already a Russian top team. So I've opened up one school already in one of the new country of Lugansk, which is former Eastern Ukraine. I've opened up a school there, and I'm planning on opening up a school in Donetsk, which is another new country, former Ukraine, and then opening a school in Tyumen, which is Siberia, Western Siberia, where I have a little cabin, small city there in Tyumen. So yeah, I want to open up some schools in some places where people wouldn't normally have the opportunities to do MMA or grappling or anything like that. I mean, there's a bunch of schools in Moscow, a bunch of schools in Sochi, a bunch of schools in St. Petersburg. But when you go to some of these outskirts cities like Tyumen, for example, you're not going to find any or maybe one. And so I think it's important to give some people, especially kids, the opportunities to, get an MMA. Especially now, it's really getting popular all over the world, and Russia is no exception. It's really, really, really popular. Everybody, follows Habib and some of the MMA stars there, especially the Russian fighters. So, just giving them opportunities, something that's really important to me.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. You travel a ton, and I talked with you about a year ago, and you were back and forth from Russia then. But experiencing a different culture and different country, I gotta just kind of get the feel. What was it like fighting Fedor in Russia?
I still think about that a lot, because it really changed the course of my career and life. After that, he's a legend.
Yeah.
I think not even arguably the best heavyweight of all time. I mean, I think he was undefeated for 12 years, but he fought all the best guys and beat all the best guys for 12 straight years, never lost, until he kind of got in the pinnacle of his career. But, yeah, I mean, so I always wanted to fight, it was just a great opportunity and a great honor to fight him. But, I wanted to win, because I just hey, this guy comes in really fast and hard and throws punches and kicks, and man, I'm gonna take this guy down. Wrestling's good. I'm gonna take him down. And we've never been with a submission guy like me. The only submission guy really that he's ever fought, my level, is Nogueira. But Nogueira doesn't have the take. Nogueira was on his back the whole time. I'm gonna be on top of him, and I'm gonna finish him. And man, he just fought a brilliant. I mean, he just didn't change his whole strategy. He didn't come in at all. He just waited for me to come in, kick, waited for me to come in, punch, waited for me to come kick, punch, back off. And even when he knocked me down, he didn't get on me. One time he got on me and I tried to sweep, and then he just kicked out and ran away, and then just kept me at a distance and made it a kickboxing match. But after I didn't realize the magnitude of the fight until much later, because even now when I go to Russia, some people are like, you fought Fedor, and you were in the same ring as him, you touched him, oh my god, I'm godly because I touched their, this guy, this legend, this fable, and still that happens sometimes. So like, I didn't really like till afterwards in the newspapers and people were interviewing it. Like I knew he was a legend, but I didn't really I think he could be president of Russia if he ran for office. I mean, he's just that crazily popular there. And, so yeah, it was a bad fight. I broke my leg, got beat up, expected to win, but everything after that, like everything except for the loss and the broken leg was good from the fight. I met, a lot of people because of it. I got more fights in Russia because of it, got on TV shows and, became like a lot more popular in Russia because of that particular fight, and led to a lot of doors and, increased popularity and other avenues and adventures and stuff like that. So, in that way, it was really good for me. My job with RT was like a result of, that fight kind of thing, ripple effect. So
it sounds like they're all fascinated with him, and you went the distance with him. And, watching that fight, you knew that he respected you. At least me watching from the outside, like him wanting to avoid certain parts of your game. If he fought a guy like me, he could do whatever he wants. But but he knew that you would be trouble if you got him in certain spots, and he definitely he avoided that. But that also is to me, it's showing that he respects that part of your game. He's not going to go walking into that because he knows it can cause him a lot of trouble. And so I think that's kind of a neat way to reflect about that as well. I didn't realize you got your leg broken. What happened there?
Man, he just kicked it like so many times. In the second round, I just put all my weight on it and did a front, like that low kick, and just broke my tibia. And I just think did the fight. It was still sore, but I just remember like I went and shook it after the fight. Walked over, shook his brother's hand and his corner's hand. And then walked back, and they shook his hand. They raised his hand, and then as I was walking back to the corner, the adrenaline like dropped to a level where I was like, "Oh, hold on!" So I really hurt. And then my corner, I waited my corner guys to come to help me, and then that's the last step I took for 6 weeks. So I went I went to a Russian hospital. They go, look, you can go to a really good hospital. But in this traffic, it's going to be on Saturday nights. It's going to be like 2.5 hour drive, or we can go to the public hospital for everybody. It's like half hour. I said we're going to go to the public hospital, and I went there. Man, it was like in the rooms, in the waiting rooms, like going in and out. Like people are literally walking in with cigarettes, smoking, and it was good. They had a soccer game, a football game that night at the stadium, and there was some like big fight that broke out. There's like a dozen people in there, like all bloodied, and it was crazy. And they brought me back, and they wanted it. I had my lip was split open, and they sewed it up with what I would describe as fishing line. I mean, it was like they sewed it up good, but like the wire, they're like the ends that they cut off inside my lip. Like I had to like go home and after 2 days have someone cut it out because the wiring or the ends of the clip parts of this cord were like tearing up my mouth, and I had to like have it cut out. And then they tried to the Soviet Union 1975 probably era X-ray, and they X-ray my leg. Okay, it's broken. They want to X-ray your head. I go, no, my head's fine. I just got a split lip. And they go, no, an X-ray your head. And I didn't let them, and thank God, man. But it was like, I think I would have probably been dead from radiation by now if they'd done it. But I mean, they were nice and they were competent and all that stuff. But it was just like the lack of supply. I mean, I walked out, like with help, with no crutches. They just didn't have crutches at this hospital. Imagine a hospital that doesn't have crutches. And so we had to go the next day because I couldn't walk. With the cast on my leg, we had to go to like a medical store and buy crutches to go like before I went back to America. So it was quite an experience. Like after that fight. So.
Wow. That is an amazing story. That was back in 2011. Has anything really changed about their medical system, or if you get injured like that over there now, do you expect a similar thing to happen?
Yeah, if you go to a public, I mean, it's just lack of funding. I mean, I think that the doctors did a real good job. They diagnosed this broken leg, blah, blah, cast on, everything was fine. They stitched up my lip fine. That just the materials they got are just not available. And saying this now, once a month, I have a charity that I do over there. You can find it on Instagram. It's Jeff Monson Life, and but I go to a children's hospital once a month when I'm in Moscow. Every month I'm there, and there's 6 different hospitals, and they're all cancer hospitals. Like one's for brain cancer, one's for after they've had surgeries, one's for after during radiation treatments and chemo treatments, different things. But the hospitals are really nice. They're not like a gray white hospital. They're colored with children's colors. They got paintings in them. There looks like a play. They got play areas. It looks like a big playground, facilities. And I come in and they have other people that volunteer time and have games and all this other stuff. And the families get to stay there as well. And it's all free, man. It's like, imagine you have your child has cancer in the United States and you got to go through all this, chemo. I mean, it's devastating. I can't imagine. It's more than I could take. And, but on top of it, then when your child gets better or whatever, you're faced with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of medical bills on top of it after you leave the hospital or from your treatments and stuff, and you're, forever in debt. And, they don't have that there. They take care of their kids, and the family stay there for free and, eat there and all this stuff. And, so that's like a really positive thing. So if you're in real need, you get taken care of. But, I guess my advice is don't go have an injury from the gym, or don't go get in a fight at a soccer game and then go to the hospital, because I think the equipment that they use to treat you might not be, the best. But as far as the kids getting cancer treatments and, and the latest medicine and surgeries and all that, it's top of the line. It's just, doctors are good and everything. It's just, there's just not the money. They're not putting the money investment, which they should, into, hospitals and stuff. So, it's not the same that, some, a regular person off the street, they pay some. It's definitely reduced, not the United States, but, there's just not the money invested by the government into hospitals. Even it's not exactly private. It's not 100%, funded either. And it's just, there's that gap there leaves some people that are in need without, crutches or whatever it might be.
Are these the type of things that your show talks about? Your internet show in Russia?
Yeah, 100%. But it's Russia today, and it's so I'm not gonna lie. It's not. I'm not on there bashing Russia. I'm not on there. I talk about, So yeah, I do talk about some things that could improve, or that I do make fun of, some Russian things, more of a comedy way, some things that could improve in a funny way. But most serious things need to change, and I'm angry, stuff like that. A lot of that's based out of United States or European Union, or any news agency. I make fun of a lot of stuff with CNN and some of the fake news stuff that comes out, and we talk a lot about the presidential election and Trump and other things that are going on here.
Jeff, that is great that you're visiting those children in Russia. I can't really imagine what they're experiencing or going through, them and their families in this crazy time and a difficult time. And it's just great that you're able to come in and provide some entertainment or a smile to them that day.
It's fantastic. Honestly, I tear up every time I go because I like to see the kids in a situation like it's like unfathomable. You know, I have 3 kids and, you know, I remember when, you know, they've been sick and stuff and like how helpless you feel as a parent, but I couldn't imagine like a kid with something that could be terminal, you know, for having an illness and very, very serious. So, yeah, they need the much as support as they can get. And man, my good friend Max, who was on the Dancing with the Stars show with me, he's come in a couple times and done the dancing with the parents and the kids. And man, it's like this really fantastic to see. I mean, just like their faces light up and stuff, and it's just like having fun. And you know, it's like a family because they're all, you know, all these parents and the kids are all in, you know, a very similar situation, you know, some more serious than others, but they're all kind of in a, you know, very difficult, you know, place in their lives. And so they have this kind of, you know, bond that they're all going through this together and they also can have fun together. And when we come in and, you know, provide a little something, and Max has been just fantastic. It's really a wonderful, wonderful thing to see, like, you know, for how long they've been there and every day, every hour thinking about, you know, the pain and the illness and trying to get better. And then, you know, all of a sudden they're dancing and, you know, having fun and like, you know, gravity's man. I can't describe like the joy that it brings. So
I imagine that would be very hard on you as well. Just, I mean, you mentioned that you kind of tear up every time, and just to see somebody in that tough spot, but to know that, you know, you bring that joy to them that day. And I imagine a lot of the parents recognize you, and some of the older kids there that follow martial arts or MMA recognize you as well. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I always ask you know, because there's 6 different hospitals I go to in Moscow, and I always ask like what kids we're seeing. It's like, are they younger? Are they older? Are they, you know, what's the why are they there? Or what stage of the you know, treatment are they in with the cancer and stuff? And you always want to know if they're gonna know who I am. Because you know, I went to one where, you know, first couple times I went, and these older kids and whatever, they're just like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like taking photos and this, and just like it's crazy, and doing like a little master class with like stand up boxing with them and stuff. And I just happened a couple times. I was like, okay. And then I walked into another hospital, and I was kind of, you know, expecting the same, and they were like 2, 3, some like little infants. And nobody knew who I was as a kid. Some of the parents did. So it was like a definite change of pace. And we ended up, they didn't want to know anything about MMA. They didn't know what MMA was or grappling or anything, but they wanted to know about if I'd ever been to Disneyland and how it was, and like talked about Mickey Mouse, and we ended up coloring it. And so it was, you know, you just got to change your think over it. I don't know. They provide a lot more to me as far as happiness than I do to them, I'm sure. So.
Wow. I mean, the real little kids that have no idea see some big, muscly, tattooed guy come in, and he ends up having a big heart as well.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I could be anybody, honestly. Like with the young guys, they just see a big tattooed guy wearing flip flops, and they're like, "What's going on with this guy?" Yeah, but you know what? Someone's paying attention to them, and someone is talking about something other than being sick, and, you know, giving somebody else to think about or like do for a little bit. And that's pretty, you know, nice. And just to have that opportunity, and, you know, the people that have me there are all volunteers in Moscow. These are like men and women, that do this, like spend a lot of hours there, almost like a part-time job. And they do this for no money, just, you know, reach out to me, reach out to other people to have them visit it, come visit the kids themselves, you know, go to the store, buy games, take them to, you know, when they're well enough, maybe take them to the circus and stuff. And, not the last time I was in Russia, but the time before, I went out to, a restaurant and met one of the kids I had met maybe a year earlier. And I met him, he had no hair. He was in a bed. He couldn't even, cause I came and did a little master class and he couldn't even get out of bed. So I had to go visit him in his room and, talk to him and hold his hand and stuff. And he came to the restaurant. He had just been released like the day before. And I came with his mom and grandma brought him to the restaurant to meet me. And he had a full head of hair and he was laughing.
Wow.
He was out, man. I couldn't, I didn't even recognize him because he just, was like in remission, healthy looking, 9-year-old kid. And it was like, wow, this is what it's about. So I was really, really thankful to have the opportunity.
Wow, that is amazing. You briefly mentioned Dancing with the Stars. You were on the Russian Dancing with the Stars. Is that correct? And what was that like?
Honestly, it was like really fun. It's something that I always kidded my wife about because we've been to dances before, and at a wedding or something like that. At her cousin's wedding or, some member of her family's wedding. And I'm like terrible. And so we always laughed about it. And so when I got the invite to go Dance with the Stars, it was, I was like, well, one of us is on TV with professional dancing, So, but man, it was hard work. I'd go there and it was like 2.5 weeks of literally 6-7 hours a day to prepare for a 1.5 minute dance. So 1.5 minute dance, it was just incredible amount of work and effort. And the people at dancers, so I thought, you have this, pretense of how people are going to be when you go there, but it was much different than I thought. Everyone was so nice. It was just one big family. Everyone supported each other, even though it was a competition. Everyone's rooting for each other and, giving advice and helping and being supportive. And it was a really fantastic experience, to be able to work really hard at something that I wasn't good at and have a little bit of success. But it was just fun. It was just the whole, being in the crowd and doing something that I used to was fun. Being with all those dancers and the other, the celebrity people was fun, and they were, everybody was so nice. It was, and like I said, Max, the guy that we're still really, really good friends. And he comes to the hospital with me and stuff like that. So I, have a couple of relationships, that are lasting from that show. So yeah, it was a great experience.
They make it fun and exciting and entertaining. Was the theme Beauty and the Beast, or what was you guys are kind of dressed in a certain way?
Yeah, I did 3 dances, and the first one was Beauty and the Beast, which is perfect because you have, someone, obviously a beautiful person, and then you have a big bumbling, not so good guy. And so it was a perfect theme, and quite honestly, that dance was perfect for me because it wasn't a lot of spins and turns and there was a lot of acting stuff, slow, methodical dancing, and so I was able to use my strength, or not my strength, but avoid my weaknesses, I guess.
Yeah. So that's funny. I'll have to put a link to the video of you dancing there on the show notes. You mentioned Nogi Worlds is coming up, and you're excited for that. What are your thoughts with doing that?
Well, I went to the last Abu Dhabi a few weeks ago, and I injured. I cut down to 99 kilos for it. The day before the night, we had to kind of cut about 7 kilos, 15 pounds, and I walked out of the sauna and just passed out and fell and really injured my leg. So anyways, I couldn't really compete at the level I wanted to, and I just didn't want to go out like that. I would think this Abu Dhabi was going to be my last competition, but I didn't want to like go out like that and have that as the final, thing where I couldn't really do my best. So I want to go in there healthy and do my best and see what happens, and I think the no-gi worlds are like more suited to my strengths, you know what I mean? Like get with some with a wrestling background and stuff like that, I can kind of control the match from on top and stuff. So I'm gonna go in there and do my best and see what happens.
And you're planning on this will be your last competition?
Yeah, this is 100% for sure my last.
And your primary focus? Go ahead.
To win it. Yeah, my favorite. Oh, after that, I'm gonna concentrate on opening, some kids' schools and, the business aspect of just trying to create a living for my family and stuff like that, and then hopefully use some of this for, like I said, with the children's hospitals in Moscow and the volunteer and charity organization that I'm doing. Like so many people have helped me throughout the years. So many people like shown me position. I remember Scotty from On the Mat when I grappled this before I won Abu Dhabi. Like I'd pay my way to do Nagas, pay my way to do Grappler's Quest, this, and he'd let me stay in the hotel with him because I'd have to buy a ticket myself, and I'd stay in the hotel and he'd feed me and stuff like that. Before I'd done anything. People always are supporting me. The guys from American Top Team. I came down, had won ADCC, had been in the UFC, and then I come to American Top Team. My first fight, I lose to Forrest Griffin. Then I go to ACC, lose in my very first match, or my second match. For the first time I'd always placed. And then I lose another fight. And then a month later, I tear my bicep, and they have to pay for my surgery, and then so here I am on this team to be the one name recognizable at that time, like 12, 13 years ago, and I lose both the fights. I lose Abu Dhabi. I have to have surgery, and I was at the lowest of the low, and they stayed with me the whole time. They stuck by me. They believed in me, and they could have been like, "Oh my God, this is a waste. Why we pay this guy to help coach or help, be a fighter on a team when he's he's losing. He's not doing anything." And they stuck by me, and good things eventually came to that. But it took a long time, and they were patient, and I just want to give back now. I like it, and I need to give back. So
that's cool that they had so much loyalty to you, and man,
and I kind of on the same track. When I first came to the team, you remember they were all Brazilian. I was like one of two non-Brazilian guys on the team, and everybody is from Brazilian Top Team and down Brazil. They're telling my coach Ricardo Laborio and Marcelo and Conan Silveria. They're like, he's the head coach. They're like, man, get this gringo off your team. He's gonna steal our training secrets, our jiu-jitsu, and he's going to leave, and he's, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, we trust this guy. And they're like, man, you don't even know him. And they're like, oh, we have a feeling he's going to be with us. And they took a lot of flack, man, a lot of flack from Brazilian guys. I wouldn't talk to them anymore. And it was very hard on them too, and they stuck by me without anything but my word. Like, yeah, I'm going to be here with you guys. And they trusted me enough and supported me enough to, even when things were bad, even though I get all this, to not give up on me. And so yeah, that kind of loyalty is not common every day. So it's I owe a lot of my success to being with being blessed to having the right team, right teammates, right coaches.
Yeah, getting out there and fighting or grappling is it's you versus another person, but really you have a large team behind you that has your back and have gotten you to where you are at that moment. Yeah, you mentioned that they were worried about like training secrets and things like that. Is that, you still see that, or has that kind of gone away where the doors are more open?
Not to use, certainly, but like with Brazil, like there's a lot, like in Brazil, that's like, you know, they're the kings of jiu-jitsu, right? And that's like their pride and joy, and they're like they're in the school, having someone be successful from a school there is like really, really important. And it like gives like meaning to, you know, it gives justification that this school's good because this guy came out of it and stuff. So they're really protective about, you know, how, you know, who comes into school. And I remember when I first was coming to Florida, first joined the team, I worked out with Pablo Popovich, who's an ADCC winner, and like one of my really good friends. And remember training at his school, and he just like demolished me. And I remember like the word got out, like, you know, not from him, but, you know, other students and whatever, like, man, Jeff Monson, the ADCC winner, came to our school, and Pablo, kind of an unknown at that time, not anymore, but at that time, let's just like wipe them out with him. And he did, like, completely. And just like everybody was like, oh my gosh, like, but I didn't see the big deal. I was like, yeah, I had like the guys better than me at that, you know, did better than me at practice. Okay, what's the big deal? But I guess it's like an honor thing or something. So I kind of got, you know, like the 101 about how that, or 411, how that works, like kind of early on. But you see it sometimes with the Brazilian schools a little bit, like they're, you know, I went and trained at Higa Machado's down in California. And he's a really super nice guy. But man, when we trained, we went in like a closed room, shut the door, and it was like me, him, and a couple of his like really trusted students. So it wasn't like just like guys taking the class watching us train. It was like really like closed off and stuff like that. So, you know, like I guess how you do in practice stuff is really protected. And in Russia, it's just the opposite, man. Like they, you know, you go into school and they're like, oh my gosh, Jeff Monson, come train with us, you know, do this, you know, and it's like, it's a big deal. Like they want you to train with them. They want, like, everybody wants to train with you and like hang out with you and this and that. But, you know, it's a little different, man. Just kind of on the same subject. I know I'm like babbling, but I went to a Pride, and I was just coaching one of our guys, Dean Thomas, from American Top Team. But I mean, I was like, man, I got to train. And I was there, and Nogueira was there, and he was fighting Mark Coleman. And Nogueira's brother, Little Nog, was there. He was just there coaching. And I'm like, oh, I know this guy. You know, he's jiu-jitsu. And I went up and asked him, hey, do you want to train? And they just thought, like, I still hear about this today. They thought it was so, like, disrespectful because I was actually in the corner of Mark Coleman, and they thought it was like, I'm going to steal secrets and tell them what, you know, what, hey, this guy's doing this or da-da-da, or like, dude, you know, it's like I had some, like, underhanded meaning or reasoning for doing this. And I just wanted to train. Like, I didn't know the politics. I just wanted to, like, train. And I still hear about it. Like, now I later became friends with them because they came American Top Team and stuff like that. And so they get it. But at the time, it was really funny. I guess it wasn't funny. I was disappointed they weren't training with me. But, like, when I found out later, they were like, oh, my gosh, this guy was trying. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, first of all, I don't know nothing about anything. And I couldn't. And to try to teach it to someone back in those days would have been like a comedy. So,
yeah, it's, you know, I do like people cross training, that sort of thing, but I understand people being nervous. You know, you get these top performing athletes and worried that somebody will come in and figure out their game plan or something like that. But that's kind of funny. I have a couple of listener questions here. Jake wants to know what you think about the use of performance-enhancing drugs in MMA or jiu-jitsu and the future use of those?
Wow, that's a good question. You know, I haven't made it any like secret. I've taken stuff in the past, and you know, like in before the days of all the testing and stuff like that. And then, you know, I've had a lot of bad consequences from it. Torn bicep, another torn bicep, torn pec. Like things that are 100% directly related to taking steroids and I, suffered because of it. So, I think the only way to make it fair is either have it like not legal, or have it legal, but you have to have a, medically like supervised, because there's so much stuff out there too. And like the big risk that doesn't get talked about a lot is like, you got guys at the gym going, yeah, I get you whatever testosterone or this or that. And, you don't know how real it is. Man, I've taken stuff that I 100% wasn't real. I've taken stuff that's made me sick. I've taken stuff that had like made me like had the flu symptoms and sick and like this and wasn't working. And like, I know there's a lot of bad stuff out there, and then that's dangerous too. It's going to end up really hurting someone someday, like taking like something off the street. You don't know what it is. So I think it needs to either be like medically supervised. You know what? Everybody wants to see the best athletes, the best, the fastest, the strongest, the most agile, the do super things, super athletic things that off the charts, new records, all this. Everybody loves to see it, and they say, well, this guy's used drugs before. Then like, oh, that, but they still want it. But all the fans still want to see the best, like the strongest and best everything. So, the only way that's going to happen is, with drugs. Like someone using drugs is going to be faster and stronger than someone who's not. It's just how it is. But either ban it or make it or supervise it so everybody's on the same page. It's not. I don't think it's fair to have some people take it, some people not. Some people afford it. Also with supplements, it's the same way. Some people get sponsored by like a supplement company, or they're in the UFC, or they're on a team, and everything's provided for them. They're taking, NO2 blaster and protein this and, recovery drink this. And it's, costs them $400 or $500 a month, more than steroids would cost, and all these supplements and stuff, but it's all legal. So like technically legal. So they get away with like all this stuff that's given them like a competitive advantage over someone who maybe can't afford it. So that's another way to think about it too. Is like, I think everybody, it's just gotta be supervised, that everyone's on the same playing field. I think if everyone is on the same playing field, then I'm okay, either all of it or none of it. But as long as it's like supervised.
Yeah. With the idea of having a supervised program, is there still that gray area where somebody could do something additional to what's being supervised?
Yeah, but that could happen being not supervised too.
Yeah.
There's always ones where, you know what, this guy's supervising me on this, and this. But if I take this extra, that'll give me yeah, you're right. That's always, and that's what we're talking about, like competition. When you're talking about competition, like, everybody wants to get an advantage. Now, some people will do an advantage by going in at 7 a.m. and working on extra technique, and then coming in again at night after practice and working on extra things, and maybe doing extra weights and extra running and being super, like doing all those extra things to get the advantage. Some people are like, you know what, I'm going to take these drugs to get an advantage. But when you're talking like that high, like ADCC or world, nogi worlds, or like UFC fighting, like people want to win. That's why you're doing it. You're not. It's jiu-jitsu's fun for me. Grappling's fun, but it's a lot more fun when I win than if I lose. So I want to do what I can to win. And like you said, there's different ways to go about it, like getting an advantage. But yeah, you're right. There's always that thing out there. But like this testing a jiu-jitsu tournament, you go to Nogi Worlds and there's a couple hundred athletes, there's testing all them, or go to ADCC, there's testing all them, like, and the cost of that, like, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, never going to happen. So,
I look at football, like NFL, and compare the athletes of today, compare those guys of 30 years ago, and they look totally different. These guys are like tailor-made for this. They're huge. They're extremely strong, extremely fast. But
they look like bodybuilders running 4.5 40s and stuff. It's crazy.
So you put that, and they're hurting each other at. There's more speed, there's more impact, and that sort of thing. But you put that in MMA, you get guys who are hitting, who will be able to, like I see, like in the future, maybe as the more and more money comes in, and people are able to do that sort of thing, and get stronger, faster, and not necessarily heavier. You end up being able to hit well outside your weight class and do much more damage to your opponent. Do you see that as being a problem as far as just the amount of damage somebody could take in a fight?
That's a good question. I think that's the thing. I think we're kind of pushing the human boundaries for taking and dealing out punishment right now. And I think because MMA is so new, and I think 1993 or 2 or something like that. I don't know. It's like when it started big, but like guys are bigger and stronger. Even when I first started, guys are a lot better. Guys are, like stronger. You hit harder, faster, quicker, like everything. And we don't know like how, like what the limit, like what someone's gonna be able to take before there's, like permanent damage, deaths, those kind of things from taking abuse. But that's important to have the refs like really in tune and like really trained well. And I think that's like been a plus. It's not like boxing refs anymore that are just like kind of thrown into MMA things, or just somebody who's a friend of the promoter, like refing now. Like they're like trained guys that are stopping fights when they should be stopped, and like looking out for the welfare. Having a loss on your record is a lot better than being permanent, like trying to stick it out and be permanent damage. So, yeah, I think that's a good question. I don't have the answer for it. I think they got to be like really careful, and there's who knows, like what the so far MMA we've had a couple of deaths, but for the most part we've been quite fortunate, and I don't think there's any question, and I don't think it's a contest that it's much safer than boxing. As far as like permanent injuries, head injuries, deaths, those kind of things, because with those little 4-ounce gloves, the fights just, you can't take that kind of abuse, and like you can in boxing, 12 rounds of just getting battered, and whatever, and like what kind of damage you take on the brain. But in MMA, you take a couple of hits like that and you're going to be out. So your brain's not going to take that kind of abuse because of the thicker gloves. So I think it's safer than boxing, but I don't know. I guess the future will tell. But we just need a lot of safety measures. There's no, and like we have a lot of fight. When we used to do at Team Quest with like Randy Couture and Matt Lindland, Dan Henderson, we went like 100% every day of training, but we didn't hit 100%. Like 100% takedown, 100% jiu-jitsu, 100% wrestling, 100%. We're in the ties and everything like that. We held our punches, like you get hit to the body hard, but when you hit to the face, you didn't batter your guy. You walked out of there, you didn't have headaches and dizzy and all that stuff because you didn't get battered. It doesn't, if you have a free shot at someone's head because you got them in an advantageous position, you're not just going to go all out. You hit and tap them. They know they're being hit, so they know they got to change positions, and it's a learning experience. So I like that. So we went out of there and we trained hard, and it was like hard, but it wasn't abusive to our head,
Yeah, and that kind of brings me to the next question I have. I have a question from Jeremy. Wants to know your thoughts on longevity in martial arts or in MMA. You've had well over 80 fights. And you're kind of mentioning about training and not taking a ton of shots to the brain and that sort of thing. But what's been some of the keys to having such a long career in MMA?
Some luck, good coaching with my team, some team with Team Quest when I trained there in Seattle, an American top team, like guys who were wanting to make me better. That weren't, they didn't throw us in a cage and it was like Survivor, the last one who survived. It was like we're helping each other. So like good teammates, good coaches, some luck, and honestly, some injuries have been helped me out a lot. Meaning, I tore a bicep throwing punches because I was like I was on, like I said, I was using supplements and not trained correctly and going and like the injury I had and then turned my pec and stuff. That, like, the layoff I had for that was like 9 months on both sides. And it made me train differently. Like the coaches, it was a learning experience for me, and the coaches were like, okay, we gotta cut down on the really heavy lifting. We gotta cut down, like, and Jeff, like, are you using something? Because you need to stop if you are, like, that kind of thing. And so it just being able to train smarter and then longer, and then that time off, they gave those 2 periods where I had those surgeries, well, 3 actually. I had another bicep. They gave me time to heal. They gave me time to redo my training, like rethink what I was doing wrong. And at the time it was like the darkest of the dark. But in the long run now, I just think it like actually made my career longer because it made me change the way I was doing things, where I would have just driven myself into the ground, beat myself up, whatever, torn, tears like this. These debilitating big injuries where I had surgery, like I couldn't, I had to get on the treadmill for, 5 months before I could start doing anything again, like with my arms. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm too tight. So I gotta like stretch more. I gotta do this. I gotta get off no supplements, like those drug supplements. I gotta do this and train differently. And, like that, like those things prolonged my career. Like in the long run, at the time, I thought, oh, the end of the world. But now it's like it was a blessing in disguise.
That's interesting that you were able to take what would be considered by most as a negative and view it as a positive.
It was like either quit or learn from it, And it's like, and I don't want to say, oh yeah, I'm too strong. I'm not gonna give up. I couldn't, but like I had nothing else I could go back on. Like it was like, I could go back into mental health, which, doing that, which I really liked, but I was at the prime of my life, my career, as far as age and training and stuff. And it was like quit, like, I want to say like quitting wasn't an option, like a tough guy. It was like quitting wasn't an option because like I had nothing back to fall on. I was now in Florida in a different state. Like it would have taken longer to get back my mental health license and get back a job doing that and all that, and quit everything, all this training I'd done, all these people would help me, everything I had. I moved my family out here, all this to like give up because of an injury. Like it really didn't make sense. Like even like on paper, it didn't make sense to stop. And so it was like, okay, why did this happen? And I had a guys from American Top Team that helped me out. Had a guy from Institute of Human Performance, Carlos Santana, that showed me a lot of different training techniques that was like more, instead of bicep curls and like bench press and, those kind of things, it was a lot of compound functional training. We started pushing cars. We started, throwing sandbags up in the air. We started like pushing pommel and like doing all kinds of things with pull-ups with towels and like stretching and like elongating the muscles and not shortening them and stuff like that, and like more realistic like fighting compound kind of training movements and stuff like that like cut my injuries down.
Wow. Hey Jeff, where could somebody go to keep up with you or get a hold of you if they want to train? Is there any good social media place that you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, I have a Facebook with Jeff Monson. There's a million Facebook things out there that say Jeff Monson. Mine is the one where I'm facing it's Jeff Monson, where I'm facing the police if I'm behind. And then I have my Instagram is Jeff Monson Life. And it's like technically it's like a charity site too, but it's me on there, and it'll have like personal pictures and stuff like that. And my email is jeffreywilliammonson@yahoo.com. And my Twitter is @JeffMonson.
Well, I'll put links to those so people can get a hold of you or follow you. I'm excited about watching you at Nogi Worlds. Do you have any final thoughts or advice for the grapplers out there who are just trying to become the best grapplers they could be?
That the one thing I always say is don't be afraid to do stuff like train. Don't be afraid to train with tougher guys because that's how you're gonna get better. And then even guys that you can beat because it's I remember when I won the last ADCC title. I was in England for 6 months doing seminars and stuff. And I went straight. England. This is without my team, without any other black belts in there. I trained with Braulio Estima sometimes, so I can't say no other black belts. But he helped me a lot. But I was doing white belts and blue belts every day training with these guys. But I just tried different techniques. So you can get out of whoever you grapple, you can get something. But the big thing is doing competitions. Go and do the Nautilus, the Grapplers Quest, the little tiny show in your hometown or a few miles over. Just getting as many matches in as you can. That's where I got better because I had a lot of with black belts, blue belts, white belts, all kinds of things. Just trying as many competitions as I could, and that's how I got better. I learned how to win, so to speak. And you don't get hurt, man. It's not like a fight. Someone's trying to punch you in the face. So it's grappling, man. You get caught, it's out. And you do your next match.
Well, that's great advice, Jeff. I've had a blast talking with you.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show. It was fun.
All right, I want to thank Jeff Monson for giving us the interview. Yeah, like I mentioned before, we had some technical difficulties, and he was more than gracious to hang in there with me and to join up again on another day and to finish our interview. Really cool of him. You'll notice that he mentioned he was on the Russian Dancing with the Stars. I'll put a link to this in the show notes. It's crazy. It's really kind of a cool thing. And you'll remember when Randy Couture was on Dancing with the Stars. I grabbed my mom.
Yeah, we had an episode or different segment each and every week. Yeah,
I kept getting my mom on this show. She's a big. She dances. she goes to dance classes and does these different things, and she likes that show as well. So it's episode 50, episode 51, around that area. We're talking. I'd get her on for 5 minutes and talk about Randy Couture's dancing, and I showed her Jeff Monson dancing, and I go, "Come on, let's do another segment of this. Let's bring this back. It's been 3 years," and she said that she wasn't comfortable commenting on his dancing. Largely, I'll describe it. Largely, he's moving around and somebody else is dancing a little bit, and he's trying to... she's looking for footwork and for steps, and not much of that was happening. But he was out there doing it, and he obviously he was outside of what he normally does, and he's just having fun, and he enjoyed the process. Obviously, you guys heard from the interview. But my mom, the nice woman that she is, had nothing really to say. Which I told her I was going to say that. If you don't say something, I'm going to say that. And she couldn't stop that from happening. Yep. But
that's why now I know why you like dancing so much. I know that one time you posted that video about guard passing skills where you do a little a dance, kind of like an Irish jig dance.
Oh, yeah.
So now it's starting to make sense. I didn't know that your mom was really into dancing, so I guess it's in your genes.
Tight jeans, Gary.
Well, you do wear skinny jeans.
I did one time accidentally try a pair of skinny jeans on.
I did the same thing,
and I couldn't get it past my calf.
Yeah,
and I was I was yelling at my wife, "Look at this! I can't even fit over my calf."
I was buying dress pants, and I guess they got dress skinny pants too. And I was like, "Hey, these look pretty good. Pretty good price. Let's go try them on." And I couldn't get them over mid thigh. So, I think I should have. Next time I ever do that, I will try to get them on and take a picture. But I was afraid I was going to break them. Yeah, I was afraid I was going to break them and have to pay for it.
Oh, okay. Gary and skinny jeans. That's going to happen pretty soon here. Even sooner than that is our article of the week. We have it. It's on Eddie Fivey's website, efjja.com. So Eddie Fivey, jiu-jitsuacademy.com. He has a blog there, and I thought this was a really cool thing that he wrote. Your training partners are not your opponents. And I think this kind of creeps in and creeps out. Some people, it's a permanent problem that they have, and they try to just compete with everybody. But from time to time, you'll kind of have a little unspoken rivalry with somebody who is kind of close to you or a little better than you, or maybe creeping up on your ability.
and you kind of find yourself competing with them instead of trying to help them and help this team you're working with get better. And I thought that was a real good concept that we don't talk about often enough.
Yeah, definitely. This article I really liked a lot. And, this is one thing I do see, happening a lot. We do compete against our teammates, which we're supposed to, but are we doing it for a purpose? Are we trying to get better? It's just, it's something that I think can hold you back or can definitely help you.
Yeah. As I read through the article, this little paragraph really stood out to me as a way to say it. Place emphasis on development. Focus on improving. Learn to become a more effective training partner. One who is safe. One who can shift the way they train as you switch from partner who is much older or injured or a lesser rank. And these are really good. And that's the quote there from that paragraph. But that's a really good training partner to have in the gym. What gym doesn't want more people like that could alter the way they're rolling dependent on who they're rolling with? Make sure everybody you roll with has a good roll. And maybe, you can't provide a good roll to the upper belts. Okay, do your best. But if your upper belt you're rolling with somebody who's lower skill, make sure they have a good roll. Make sure they're not just getting smashed. Make sure they're getting something out of it as well. And those are great training partners.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you said you picked out that paragraph because that was the same paragraph I picked out. And then another thing I really picked out is towards the bottom there where he talks about the secret to training forever. He said, master training, master practice. And this is what I really like. Seek to become the person people want to train with instead of the person people have to train with. And then it goes back to kind of like our quote of the week. Treat your teammates as teammates. People working together in cooperation for a common goal. So, just what we were talking about. It's not just one person. We need that team, everybody to work together to help each other get better. Like Byron was talking about earlier, place your emphasis on development. Become that person that people want to train with. And it's funny because I was thinking about the other day, a guy I haven't trained with in a while showed up yesterday morning to train, and he was asking about some of the people, and I pointed to one of the guys, and I was like, hey, that guy there, he's kind of crazy, you might want to be a little careful with him. And so we started rolling, and later on I was like, hey, he was wanting to be introduced to some people so he could train, so I was taking him around and setting him up with his rounds. And I was like, hey, that guy that I can set you up with that guy that we were talking about. And he's like, no, I don't want to train with that guy. And I started thinking in my head, I was like, he's probably been training about a year, but he's not that person that people want to train with. I think he cares more about winning. And instead of learning, he's not even learning. He's not working on the development, I think. And, so we're missing the learning part, the development and getting better and really just muscling and smashing people. And, so people aren't wanting to train with that person. And, just after thinking about this, I'm now going to make it my goal to train with that person and hopefully get him to a different level and get him to, maybe even print this article out and let him read it. I think it would really help that person.
Yeah. Check out the article. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. Also, somebody has commented in the comment section of the article. His name is Byron. And, if you see, just a small community, if you see an article you like, comment there, tell them that you enjoyed it and what you got out of it. I think that really, that's a nice thing to do. I'm trying to do more of that when we get article of the week, to comment and say something, kind of just stopping by and say, hey, man, I appreciated the article. And it is a good article, and there's a lot more to learn than what we're covering. But, think of your training partners as training partners. Help them get better. They'll help you get better. It'll be safer. You'll learn quicker. It's not about competing in there. It's about developing.
Yep, and also check out, we've had Eddie on the show before.
Yeah.
So definitely, I hate to tell you, I don't know what episode it is.
Episode 201.
201, so 11 episodes ago. So definitely check that out, too. I guarantee you'll like that, too. So don't miss it.
Not to be missed. Also,
not to be missed.
You go ahead, Gary.
I was going to talk about a coach of the year.
Yes.
Eddie's got a great team up there in Saratoga Springs, New York, and most of our guests we've had on have great teams, and so definitely, and a lot of you guys are listening and have great coaches, great teams. Nominate your coach for Coach of the Year. we talked about it last week that, when you can send us an email at bjjbrick@gmail.com and let us know who your coach is and why you nominate him. But a good tip is the more stuff you write, the better. I can say, hey, Byron's a great coach. Please, consider him for Coach of the Year. It doesn't give us anything to go by. I really do think Byron's a great coach, but, if you let us know why, what your coach has done, what he or she has done, and it just makes it easier for us to, pick the Coach of the Year. And Byron also came up with a good idea also, besides just having a Coach of the Year, a blog of the year. I mean, every week we have an article of the week, and a lot of them we take from our listeners and our guest blogs. So definitely, blog of the year. Let us know what blogs you listen to, what blogs you read each and every week, or, that have really helped your jiu-jitsu, and why. And let us know about that too. So we're going to have a double fecta, not a trifecta, double fecta, the Coach of the Year and Blog of the Year. And wouldn't that be crazy if the same guy won? Like the coach had a good blog too.
Oh wow,
that'd be insane. Yeah, I never thought of that.
Gary, who knows? That would destroy the whole fabric of the BJJ brick wall there. The space-time brick continuum would get ripped apart.
Yeah, I mean, the brick wall would be gone. And I mean, we've got a lot of help on this brick wall. I mean, we've, it's like our Patreon wall. Our Patreon supporters, they help us keep this BJJ brick afloat. So, I mean, we do have a link to a Patreon in the show notes. Patreon's a website for content producers. To keep this show going, we need a little bit of support, and that's what our loyal Patreon supporters do. And if you do become a Patreon supporter, we'll send you out a BJJ Brick gi patch, a BJJ sticker. We'll let you into our private Facebook group, where I know this just a couple days ago, Byron posted in there. We have a guest coming up, and I don't know if Byron wants me to mention his name, but he did incredible at ADCC, and Byron asked, hey, do you have any questions you'd like us to ask him? So, that's the cool thing about the Facebook group, is it allows you to, get a chance to, be part of the show, what questions you'd ask. We appreciate all our Patreon supporters and, all our loyal listeners who definitely help us out.
And you heard a couple questions from the interviews today from people. And the one about performance-enhancing drugs, that was from a Facebook question, and that's from the Facebook group. Not go like the page, that's great, but the private group, you have to either know us or be a member of the Facebook, or be a member of the Patreon campaign, and we'll get you in there, and you could contribute more to the show and have more fun with us. That really means a lot to us. We have other social media. Facebook, YouTube is a big one. Those are probably the two main ones there. Another thing, go download our app. Type in BJJ Brick, all one word, in the App Store. It'll pop up. It makes the podcast super easy to listen to. We're always putting in additional content that goes with each episode on there, and trying to have more fun and interaction with the audience. So go download the app. It's free, and it's a great way to keep up with the show.
Yeah, and also I know we always talk. Well, we used to always talk, but we haven't been doing as much. But definitely put a review. Give us a review on iTunes or wherever. We always appreciate that. If you do give us a review, we'll send you out a patch. You do need to let us know who it is, because otherwise we have no clue. Send us an email, bjjbrick@gmail.com, or hit us up on our Facebook page. But Byron, we did get a review this week, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, Gary.
Yep. I do want to read this review. So here we go. This podcast is good, but I'm better. If you want to follow my example, it's easy. Start by buying the cheapest gi you can find. In fact, some pajamas will do fine, because all you need is an internet connection and a bag of Cheetos. Just imagine you're in a bamboo dojo as you watch your new YouTube instructor. In the first week, you can learn to execute perfect flying arm bars and inverted triangles. In the beginning, you can learn everything by watching videos. You can use a big pillow or even those fluffy couch cushions as your training dummy. I mean, who hasn't done that?
Yeah.
Don't worry, you can practice with a real person once you're a blue belt. For now, just focus on learning the steps of the move, like the omoplata and guillotine. Once you have learned all the basics like those mentioned, call up your nearest academy and tell them you've been training a year. Be sure to tell them you studied under your YouTube instructor and the BJJ Brick Academy. Schedule a blue belt test and be ready to kick ASS. Because you are trained so well, they might have you fight every one of the Academy students. Congratulations. Because of the BJJ Brick podcast, you're a submission machine.
Boom. There we go. That's Adam right there.
Yep.
We asked for kind of off-the-wall, silly, hard-to-believe reviews, and we got one, Gary. I enjoyed reading that one.
We got a good one. And, I think that's that we should now start, offering, belts, Byron, online. Just send us in a video of yourself training with a pillow and show us the basics of the omoplata and the guillotine, and maybe we'll promote you.
We will see how the consideration of that goes, Gary.
Yeah, I think we can make a couple bucks like that too, Byron.
Dang. This is the time, episode 212, when we officially sell out and give up.
Yep. But no, seriously, thank you, Adam. We really appreciate, first of all, listening, and second of all, take the time to put in a funny review. We appreciate it. And if you want to be like Adam and have your review read online, definitely put in a funny review. We like it when we get reviews.
This is Matt Tales. We bring you amazing Jiu-Jitsu stories. The story might be funny, unfortunate. It could be about an epic fail or an epic win. So sit back, my friend, relax, dry off your sweat from rolling, and enjoy Matt Tales. I do not have the best luck on the mats. I'm not talking about being able to pull off a sweet armbar or back take. I'm talking about some days I just have bad luck, like catching a heel to the face from someone that I'm not even rolling with. It really seems like any given week, I get more than my fair share of accidental knees, elbows, and headbutts. For this reason, I always wear a mouthguard and a cup. But recently, I decided to upgrade my mouthguard from a simple $5 version to a $80 custom top-of-the-line mouthguard. This mouthguard is nice. It looks like it's been tie-dyed, and it's red, white, and blue. I've never seen another one like it. The best part of this mouthguard is, it seems to be lucky. After a month of wearing it, I never got hit in the mouth, which is virtually unheard of for me. A few weeks ago, I arrived to class early, and I met a new student on his first day. We quickly hit it off as friends. We got to work the techniques together, and after that, we took a break to get water. I told him as we got off the mat, "Get some water in your mouthpiece, it's time to roll." I chatted with a few of my teammates and headed off to the shelf to get my mouthpiece where I left it. I could not find it. I looked in my gym bag. Not there. I went back out to my car to check the seat. No mouthpiece there either. I must have left it at home. Well, Coach is starting the timer, and it's time to get back on the mat. I went to my new friend to start rolling. That's when I noticed where my mouthpiece was. It was in the new guy's mouth. I was shocked. He must have thought the gym provided mouthpieces, and he grabbed mine. While in my head, I was trying to grasp the situation while I was still rolling. I was not mad at him. I was just amazed with how dumb this guy was and how gross it was to have somebody else's mouthpiece in your mouth. What's wrong with this guy? Who is this guy? As we continued to roll, I was completely distracted by the thought of my mouthpiece, my lucky mouthpiece, in his mouth. That's when I caught an elbow to the mouth. Two things happened that day. I did not get my mouthpiece back. I didn't want it. And without my wonderful mouthpiece, I was back to my normal bad luck of getting accidentally hit again. This has been Matt Tales. Some of the names and places may have changed. We may have, in fact, taken some creative liberties with the story. In order to keep Matt Tales going, we need more tales. Tales from listeners like you. Send your Matt Tales to bjjbrick@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing your amazing stories. Yeah, guys, had a lot of fun this week interviewing Jeff Monson. Next week, we have Ricardo Almeida, 2 UFC vets in a row. And it's really cool talking to Ricardo, getting to know him, interviewed some of his students, and now get him on the show. So that was really fun.
Definitely. Make sure you tune in next week. You don't want to miss Ricardo.
Stay sweaty, my friends.
And don't forget to shower.
Thank you for listening. I hope you find the time today to roll. After all, the best way to get better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.